Hey, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning into Station Square. And hope everybody is having a really safe and full summer wherever you are in the world. Today we're gonna be talking to somebody who I've spoke to a few times in the past, but I'm just like, okay, why? How is it this long that I've actually had them on the show? But this is my good friend Adam Fast. Thank you so much for joining me on today's Station Square episode.
Hello, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Yep, anytime. So I guess to start this off, like how is because I know we're kind of yeah, July is just about to be over, man. So how's 2025? Because we're kind of still in the like quarter three, second half of the year. So tell us all about it.
Well, so far this year has been pretty good. I've been working a lot more. I've been doing some VO, doing some stage work, and going back to school, earning my degree in computer science, as well as working on my YouTube channel. So keeping busy.
Yeah, just keep it busy indeed. And speaking of the theater work, what is something that you've been really kind of, enjoying the most out of, stage and doing all of that stuff?
Well, a couple months ago, I was in a production of Ride the Cyclone, if you've ever heard of
Oh,
that show.
okay.
And I was excited because I got to play a mechanical fortune telling machine called the Amazing Karnak. And if you've never heard of Ride the Cyclone, I highly suggest going on YouTube and listening to the music because it is an earworm with a capital E. And it's such a wacky and weird show. It was right up my alley, and I absolutely loved it. I had a great time, loved the cast, crowds were fantastic. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been up on the stage, but you know what? I always say that it's never too late to just go back and just try new stuff, just to, expand, I guess, your chops and, just be versatile. You know what I mean?
100%, because the more vulnerable you are, the better a performance you deliver. And that's the case in theater, in film, especially in improv and voice acting.
Yeah, for sure. But all things considered, I'm just really happy that, you're staying busy and I've just been, I mean, I'm pretty sure you kind of sort of know this by now, but I'm kind of doing my own little things in the background, some projects that some of y'all might be sick of at this point, but yeah, I mean, I just say it's on my YouTube channel, so just if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just watch previous interviews. But yeah, it's just all I can say is continue just play for your lives and just stay tuned for later this year. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, it's just been a lot of fun and just getting back into auditioning. So it's been pretty good. Like I know it's this year definitely had its ups and downs, but you know what? I'm just happy to still be here and just still continue working and just doing what I love doing. I think that's pretty much the best attitude that we should all have for right now, especially these days.
100%, because in a field like voice acting, it's all about the journey and not the destination. And I guarantee you, all of the best coaches you train with will share that same philosophy.
Yep, absolutely, man. But yeah, it's just like I said, I'm just really happy to just finally have you on board or on deck per se, and we'll just kind of wing it, I know I sent some questions over, but honestly, we'll just definitely go with the flow.
Yeah, that sounds great. Anything you want to ask, I insist on asking.
Yeah, for sure, man. Uh, hold on. Give me one quick second. Let's resume. Alrighty, so had to take a quick phone call, which is to be expected whenever you're doing work like this. But regardless, let's get right down to the questions. Let me see. Yeah, because I know I was talking about how you're doing, what's everything that's you've kind of been working on this year. So, what would you say is something that you really had the most fun working on, like stuff that is really creatively fulfilling or even challenging in a way, because as artists, we kind of like to discipline ourselves. So, what would you say is kind of like the most exciting that you've done? Well, not just for this year, but just as of late for the last couple of years or so.
Yeah, that's a great question. And if I could list everything exciting that I've done, we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
But A couple months ago, I was part of a radio drama up in Ames, which is a city about 45 minutes north of Des Moines, Iowa, where I'm based. I played a psychotic handyman named Galt on Gnarly's Night on the Radio for a company called Vagrant Fear Productions. So it was really cool acting out those old radio dramas that used to be popular back in the 30s and 40s. And recently, I completed my animation demo with the legendary Mick Wingert. By the way, if you aren't training in animation, and you're if you're rewind, if you're thinking of training in animation and are looking for a great coach, Mick is definitely one of the goats, alongside Aaron Fitzgerald and Debbie Derryberry. There are a bunch of great coaches out there. And another thing I can think of off the top of my head is I served as a promo voice for an independent film that got entered into a local film festival. And I got to delve into my more psychotic and crazier side when voicing that. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, just finding gigs where I can, trying to directly market to people, and the whole kit and caboodle. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you just mentioned some of the top, like, you just mentioned just the heavyweights when it comes to voiceover, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because you mentioned Mick, and then there's Aaron and Debbie, who I've also coached with. It was many years ago. I think I kind of would like to do something like, getting private coaching with them and, the whole shebang. There's this little thing that a lot of us actors tend to struggle with, which is money and finances.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I could probably do an episode just talking about how to manage your money and voice. Because, like, look, if you're doing something like this, expect to like this is not like a quick invest. I mean, like it is a lot of investing. Like you're investing your time, you're investing a lot of your resources, training,
Hmm.
just working on your craft, and it is not an easy or cheap industry to get into. Okay, let me take that back. I don't want to say cheap, but it's not like an easy. Like nothing is really easy or handed to us on a
Hmm.
silver platter. You know what I
That's exactly right. I mean, if it were easy, anybody could do it. And it's interesting that you
mean?
mention the financial aspect of not just VO, but acting in general, because we do have to pay for a lot of things. We have to pay
Hmm.
for training. I mean, if you're a stage actor, you have to pay for headshots, or in our case, you have to
Oh
invest in a
yeah.
demo and a good coach. And that's why I meet with a financial advisor every so often. I think every actor, regardless of what medium they train in, should look into a financial advisor.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that I mean, everyone is different. Like they could go with a financial
Mhm.
advisor, or, but I know a lot of actors that have been able to do that are able to do extraordinary things. Like
Mhm.
I've met actors that pretty much came from nothing. They got some demos done, and or they just kind of got. I mean, a lot of it is really due to like luck and timing, like being at the right place at the right time, and just kind of really getting the ball rolling from there. And sometimes it could take months, or it could just take years before
Mhm.
you get that big break. But at the end of the day, it's like a lot of all of us, the main goal in acting is really playing pretending to the best of your abilities and enjoying the journey. It's a never-ending journey.
100%. And it's just such a different environment altogether because you audition, and that's really not as common in certain working disciplines as it is acting and performing, because we're trying to demonstrate what we would do with the character if we were to get cast, and we have to go through a bunch of different hurdles before we finally book the gig, because there's the audition, and then there's callbacks, and then there's talk amongst the decision makers about who would be the best fit for the role. Needless to say, you have to go through a lot of no's before you can get that yes.
Exactly. Boy, yeah. Yeah, I could go off about that. I could go on and on about that, but yeah, I just wanted to keep the conversation about, just and yourself. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, and I already mentioned like, Debbie and Debbie, Aaron and Debbie. Gosh, look at me. And Mick and, just a lot of those people that you mentioned. Because I think we talked, it was like a while back, but is there like anybody else that you also consider to be like, okay, I would definitely recommend, I would refer them to this actor who needs coaching, or just, you just think that they're just absolutely just someone that you are personally inspired by, and not just even voice actors, but it could just be anybody like, family or just anybody that you kind of consider to be like, very instrumental in helping your voiceover journey, so to speak.
Well, I'm going to answer that as a two-part question. I'm going to talk about a voice actor and someone who lives in or rather, used to live in my local community. Um, Probably the biggest inspiration for me, voice acting wise, is the legendary Rob Paulson. What an incredible performer and an amazing singer. He was one of the first VOs that I ever heard because I grew up watching all those shows in the 90s, like Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. And he's just a great person in general because he's always so warm and welcoming to his fans, and he's always willing to share his wisdom and advice with others. And I look at him and I say, that's the kind of actor I want to be like. And there's another person in my life who's been absolutely instrumental to my creative career. And she used to be a local choreographer who lived in Des Moines, where I'm based, but now she lives in Minneapolis. Her name is Megan Helmers. And she choreographed a bunch of shows when she was still living in Iowa. And she gave me a lot of great advice, auditioning, staying creative, um, just maintaining hope regardless of what goes on. And I absolutely adore her and her husband, who is a terrific actor in his own right. They're just two incredible individuals of whom, well, of whom I owe a lot to.
I mean, speaking of Rob Paulson, I know I've shared this in some interviews, previous stuff that I've already done, but I so I finally okay. It still gives me so much. Like I just smile every time I think about this. So I went to a convention here in Anaheim called NostalgiaCon, and this was around back in
Yes.
June. Oh, you've heard of it?
Oh, yes, I've heard of NostalgiaCon. I've always wanted to go to it because I've seen the guests they bring in, and all I can say is, whoa,
Yeah.
that is talent right there.
Yeah, I mean, like they really brought out the big guns for this one. I mean, even went as far as having like some of the Japanese Seiyu, like Masako, the Goku from like you've listened to in Japan, like that I mean, Goku go on, so on and so forth. But yeah, they really brought out all of the big ones to this one. Even Drake and Josh, which was pretty interesting. Yeah, yeah, talk about a childhood classic, man. But anyways, they had everybody from like you mentioned, Debbie, Tom Kenny, Rob Paulson, like all of the big ones. Literally, you talk about a lot, like all the shows that you watch, chances are there's going to be somebody from the shows that you watch that are probably going to be there. And since it's like the Avatar 20th, of course, they
Hmm.
had to invite a lot of those guys there. So yeah, but Rob, I finally met him and I have his signature, which I know I keep saying one of these days I'm gonna share with all of you, like the signature that I got, so like, oh, are you just saying this just to gloat? No, I got it because show it or no, show proof or it didn't happen. So, uh, but I do have it right over there. Yeah, and just meeting him was just, oh my gosh, just I know my feet my legs were just absolutely putty. Like they were just so done at that point. I had to wait over an hour, but it was so worth it. I also had to wait an
Mhm.
hour to meet Tom Kenny. And you know what? So just seeing these two at the same convention, I'm just like, oh, they no way I'm gonna miss out on this. Um, and I really needed it because it came during a really rough period in my life, just a family loss and a bunch of other stuff that's been going on around the same time. So just getting to that convention that Saturday and just seeing these two was like, man, I guess my childhood just circle or just the nostalgia in NostalgiaCon is just completed. So I don't think it's no coincidence that it just so happened to be this, event. So that's pretty much my little Rob Paulson story. I got to do, and I don't usually do this, but I did a couple. I mean, it's kind of like this saying that like you just kind of steal from the best. And I told him, well, I kind of did a little Yak of Warner for this one character that I ended up booking. So it was like, yes, well, don't quit your day job. I think that he says something like that to me, which honestly, great sense of humor, great guy. Saw his
Mhm.
show, Animaniacs in concert with Mo, Randy, and those guys.
Wow.
Just great, great dude. And Tom Kenny was also just absolutely lovely.
Hmm.
And everybody I met there was just, yeah, awesome. I even got to see Charlie Adler, which is a huge shock because everybody was just wrapping up, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should see if he's there. And sure enough, he was just finished for the day. And I asked him, "Hi, can I get a picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I got a hug, and yeah, everybody was just so chill and great for the few
Hmm.
hours that I got to do there. So I just loved it. So that's my
Charlie
little
Adler,
convention.
another terrific
Yes.
teacher, in case you're looking for coaching, although I think he mostly does it in person now.
No, I think he kind of still does some online stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
does he? Okay, I've never
Yeah.
trained with him, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I know because I'm on the wait list, and every time they start
Yeah.
selling tickets, it always be selling out fast, and it is ooh,
And of
pretty.
course, when it
Yeah,
comes to great coaches, you can't mention, you of course have to mention Bob Bergen.
yeah, yep, that too. It's also like with long wait lists, and also you just want to make sure that you're really using your time because, like I said, there's the financial aspect, and also make sure that you ask, specifically with Bob because he doesn't sugarcoat anything. So you want to ask him specific questions that is like, okay, what is something that I could really use some help with? And
Hmm.
funny thing is, I just did an interview with somebody yesterday, and they were also talking about Bob, where um they were kind of at a place in their career where they were just getting started at VO, and Bob saw something in them, and it's kind of like, you know, it's a perspective of like, look, if you're really deeply in love and if you're really passionate about doing acting, if you can't picture anything doing anything else, just just do it. I mean, it's really simple, and I
Hmm.
say this all the time at the end of every interview, but it's so true. Just do it and never be afraid to learn. Like all
Hmm.
of us are still students that are just learning new stuff every single day. There's a lot of stuff, new developments that are happening in the industry, like all the time. And I shouldn't
Hmm.
even have to mention the AI thing, which, yeah.
Yeah, the two dangerous letters when it comes to VO.
Yeah, so there's a lot new, but hey, at least we're kind of at the end of a strike, and who knows how long
Hmm.
that's gonna
And a major
last.
shout out going to Tim Friedlander and Karin Gilfrey
Nava,
and Nava.
yes.
They have been busting their butts to make sure everyone is protected, and they are fantastic. And I am always going to support them.
Yeah. Another shout out to Bill Farmer, who is also a great coach, and I've
Hmm.
heard so many good stuff about him. And I actually also got to meet him briefly at the nostalgia thing. So, yeah, seriously, it's like if you've watched Disney or Warner Brothers or Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, you're probably going to see somebody there
Hmm.
who's a part of your childhood. Like literally anybody.
Yeah, I
Like,
actually got to meet Bill myself. I went to VO
yeah, yeah.
Atlanta back in
Oh,
2022, or was it 2023? I can't remember. And he was
man.
hosting a panel there. Um, Amazing, amazingly talented. And I was
Yeah.
even lucky enough to have lunch with him and his wife, Jennifer.
Oh
during the
man.
convention, and he told me story after story after story about what it was like recording with the other Disney voice actors like Wayne Allwine, Russi Taylor,
Oh
Tony
my God.
Anselmo. And honestly, I could have listened to him talk for hours on end. He's just
Seriously.
such an insanely talented guy, and he's really friendly too.
Yeah. I think when I talked with him, like when I was at the convention, we just kind of talked a little bit about like the Goofy movie, which is hitting its 30th anniversary, which
It's
I
really been that long.
can't
Wow.
believe it, man. And also, I specifically asked him how it was like working with Dawes Butler, who he actually, yeah, him and Bob
Hmm.
Bergen, Corey Burton, and Nancy Cartwright all worked with Dawes. And for those that are curious, like if you watch Hanna-Barbera, he pretty much was Yogi, Huckleberry, Snagglepuss, and all these great Hanna-Barbera characters way in the heyday of TV animation. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
legend in its own
Dawes really changed the scope of what we think of as voice acting. He really put the acting in
right.
voice
Yeah,
acting.
he did. Same with like Mel Blanc or Paul Frees and all these
Hmm.
guys, June Foray. I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
listing like the Mount Rushmore right now. Yeah, so
definitely.
it was just really it was just a lot of fun. Also, since you did mention VO Atlanta, those voiceover cons, like conferences, I would love to do one of these. That's actually kind of on my bucket thing because they have that's voiceover. There's something here in LA that they have like every, and I know that they do the gala events going
Hmm.
on around in California, and every time I always wanted to go to those, like. And I know what y'all are going to say. Is it because of money? Not really. It's because of the time that it's always happening. Because
Hmm.
it's usually during holiday season, and if it's around that time, I'm just really just kind of because that's also the season where a lot of us are kind of like really in crunch mode with voiceover stuff. So I can really go even if I was booked with something. So I really did make sure to like, okay, do I have something going on then? And it turns out, yep, already got stuff to do in advance. So
One of these
yeah,
days, one of these
exactly.
days.
Yeah, one of these days. And my schedule just fills up really like
Mhm.
months, literally in advance. So yeah, that's the life of a voiceover.
Yep. There's you mentioned that's voiceover expo, and yes, that is in California and VO
I think it's in
Atlanta, obviously in Georgia.
Burbank,
But
I
there's also
think.
One Voice, which is down in
Yeah,
Texas, and there's
traveling.
another one that's held in London as well. So there
Yeah,
are a bunch of different conferences and expos you can go to, and it really is a life-changing experience.
it's usually other commitments or the traveling, man. Like I could do the that's voiceover here in like I think it's in Burbank or maybe it's somewhere in LA. But yeah, if it's not during like Christmas season, that's the thing for me, man.
Those darn holiday season
Otherwise,
commitments.
I'd be there in a heartbeat. I really would.
I would too if I lived on the West Coast.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
that's like I said, travel, man. Whew.
Travel and finances, my two favorite words.
That's everybody's two favorite words, but I know it kind of was I know it kind of sounds like we're complaining, but trust me, this is reality. Like a lot of us have to
Yep.
go through these obstacles, but are we just gonna sit around and complain about it, or are we gonna find a way to you know, work around it? Because I think it's something that and I think we oh, someone else that I also wanted to bring up that I not sure if we discussed about him very much, but Corey Dissent is somebody who also is kind of somebody who
Yeah.
is like, look, no BS.
Hmm.
This is how we're gonna do this. Like, um, and he'll just tell you straight, like, okay, this isn't working out. This is something that can work even better for you. And
Yeah. Love
just have
Corey.
that go get 'em attitude, which I sort of stole from him. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I also know with social media, it's like it's super important, but there's also the time where, okay, you gotta find that, find the area of like, okay, so if you wanted to have that family time, do that, and also just have social media as a part of your business, where
Hmm.
because it really is a business. Um, because I don't really use it to just to be social as they say it is. Like it's not really social media to me anymore. It's kind of like, okay, let me just promote this and just not doom scroll or just do any negative. Yeah. And
Doom
that's something that I've been,
scrolling.
I'm sorry?
I said, doom scrolling. It's something we can all get into. And
Yeah.
I've stopped doing it now
Yeah.
because
I
it
mean,
just
like,
disappoints me. And I've felt so
exactly.
much better because social media, like any power, can also be used for good.
Exactly. I mean, I just had to detox. Like, I got rid of Twitter and X, which I should have done a while, a long time
Mhm.
ago. TikTok is also not really for me, but Facebook or Instagram and LinkedIn, those are stuff that you could use for good. Like, if you want to talk about something that really means a lot to you, do that. But just be, just remember what you're using it for. You don't want to be somebody who's like, oh, I don't want to work with this person. You know, I mean, like, look like with Corey or Bob or anything else, like, look, I know that look, we can have strong opinions about something and it may alienate people, but there's a fine line between being honest with somebody and then just being, there's a fine line between,
Yep.
just being honest or just being just, oh, I don't want to work with this person. You know what I mean? And you don't want to burn bridges. Be honest,
No.
just don't burn bridges ever. It is not worth it in the end.
And people will know about that because
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
this business is all about relationships and who you network with.
Yeah.
And if you're not a great person to work with, word is going to spread, and that
And
won't end well for you.
I've seen that happen, and that's not a can of worms I want to open.
I don't think it's something anyone wants to open.
Exactly. But I know we've been talking about a lot of really heavy stuff. So what is something that's been keeping you positive throughout the year, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going back to school and
Oh
studying
yeah, yeah.
computer science. I I've always sort of had an obsession with technology. So I thought I'd try it out on a whim. I took a programming class and it turns out I really liked it and got an A in it. So I thought I would pursue it further. And it also provides the logical balance to the creative mindset of a voice actor. So it's gratifying that I get to use both sides of my brain.
Yeah. I think excuse me. Something that's been helping me keep positive, it's just make stuff, just
Yeah.
creating new stuff and just,
Mhm.
seeing a lot of this stuff that I'm already doing come to life and just getting to work with so many great people that I've had on the projects. It's just amazing. So, okay, two people that I also want to quickly give a shout out to. My buddy Brad Storm and Amber, who does this podcast on her channel called Amber Fan. Yeah. I'll just link their channels in a bit, but I just also want to list two people that have also been such a huge part of my life as a reason. So if you two are watching this, you rock. Check out the interviews that I just posted yesterday on my channel. So yeah, really great people. And yeah, I think that's just kind of like one of the things about what really makes this so great is like you get on your journey, you get to encounter so many people that you know, I mean, yes, of course, you're going to get the bad apples or the bad seeds, but the majority of the people that and the scammers and stuff. But look, trust me, I'm not saying that. Oh, VO is so horrible. Well, I mean, yes, it is a lot of hard work, but genuinely, if you're having fun doing it and getting to meet a lot of these absolutely marvelous people in the industry, you just
Mhm.
never know who you're going to meet. And also might never know when those relationships will turn to something even bigger than that. Um, like I always think about the story of Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt, where they both started out as actors and now they're married, happily married, have kids, and running business. And you just never know who's gonna who you're gonna end up meeting in your path. Like
Both
that's
of
what
them
I
also
say
wrote
for
a
any
fantastic
business.
book on VO.
Exactly. That I also
Yeah,
have
I have it
some.
too,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, it's in my dress. Yeah. I need to definitely share the books with y'all, so I
Mhm.
know y'all know that I'm not fooling around. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you were to think back to anything like a big moment in your life that reminds you why you love doing all of this, what would you say that the big pivotal moment would be like in your life, or just a
Well,
couple? Yeah.
okay, I'll try and think of a couple. But
Yeah, just a
the
few.
big
Yeah.
pivotal moment was attending VO Atlanta back in
Mhm.
2022 or 2023. I really need to remember when I
It's one of the
attended
two.
things.
Yeah, it's so many
Um,
conferences. I just can't keep track of them
so
all.
many conferences and so many cons. But I
Exactly.
another moment is when I started voice directing because although this is somewhat frowned upon, I voice directed a few dubbed video game playthroughs on my
Yes, yeah, you
YouTube
did tell me
channel.
about that. Yeah.
And the very first one I did was Luigi's Mansion. So I auditioned a bunch
Yes.
of local stage actors who were living in my area to come provide the vice.
The
Yes,
vice
they
president.
provide vices.
Be
That's
the
one way to
vice
get a grip
president
on
of your
things.
channel.
Um, to provide voices for the
Yeah.
characters. And I couldn't really find anyone who was a good match for King Boo. And then I thought, wait, I can do this. And it was great because directing gives you a whole nother perspective from the art form because you are the one who is driving the ship. You're the one who is trying to lead everyone to where you want to get them. And it's just an amazing experience when you see the smiles on the actors' faces and say that they really enjoyed working with you on said project.
Exactly. So I gotta ask you about King Boo because you did mention this to me because we often say stealing from other, characters and whatnot because I think from what you told me, it was kind of Bill Cipher and then you kind of did some tweaks and that became King Boo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. I took inspiration from Bill Cipher, but I also took inspiration from Marek from the original Yu-Gi-Oh series,
I
and then
can
I
see it.
just
Yep.
lowered it down and sort of added a gravelly tone and made it more sinister. I was kind of like voicing it way down here, and that's how I got King
Nice.
Boo.
Nice. Because,
But you're right, all great actors steal because I
yeah,
guarantee you, if you interview some of the top voice actors, they always say they took inspiration from something else, like you mentioned earlier.
yeah. Because whenever I do Bow, I mean, I used to do voice Bowser in a few comic dubs here and there. So whenever I do Bowser, I do take inspiration. Like I took a couple of cues from the original, like the previous VAs who voiced him, but also, um, let me see. And then when I was experimenting with Bowser, because I know with a voice like him is kind of like that is kind of a throat ripper, which thankfully though I
Mhm.
figured out how to do it without, straining for too long. Well, if I do, I just only have to do it like an hour, like a few minutes at it. That's why you got to take care of your voice, vocal health, man.
Yep.
But two big ones are Pete from like the old school, like the original Disney shorts, not Jim Cummings version, but the original Pete from
Mhm.
like dang, I can't do it right now, but and also Hercule from Dragon Ball Z. So I just combined all of it, and that's how I pretty much came up with Bowser. And just doing my own thing, just taking influence from other like character actors and then just molding it into my own.
Mhm.
And then I'll just pretty much be like, yeah, this is my version of the character. Nobody will know that I stole it. No one will ever know.
Until now.
Until now, exactly, that I just mentioned it. So
and
love you, Kenny and
you
Scott.
and we do the same thing on stage as well. For example, I was in a production of Camelot last year,
Hmm.
and I was King Pellinor, who is this bumbling buffoon of a character who's always chasing off to the beast. What? And I took inspiration from a character actor named Alan Melvin, who appeared in a bunch of different TV shows back in the early 50s and 60s. And I really admired what that character did and thought it would be a good fit. And
Yeah,
as it turns out, it was, since I booked the role.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think to close this out, what if you were to say really quick advice, what would you want to say to somebody who wants to do this and plug your social media and any closing thoughts that you want to share with the audience out there?
Well, I'm gonna rely on a quote from Boy Meets World.
Oh my, love that show.
Yep, it's gonna be Mr.
Yeah.
Feeney. He
Yep.
always says if you let other people's perception dictate how you live your life, you will never grow as a person. But if you leave yourself open to new experiences, you will truly grow and develop. And I think that we need to keep ourselves open because the more open we are, the more we learn. And as you said earlier, we are constant learners being in this business. We're always taking classes, we're always training, we're always trying to learn as much as we can. And that's why the community is so incredible.
Exactly. And any social media that you want to plug and projects and closing stuff?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Instagram at AdamFastVO, all in lowercase. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. That's Speedy Spectrum. Both of the S's capitalized because my last name is Fast and I'm on the autism spectrum. So that's where it comes from. And as
Great
for
name.
upcoming projects, I'm actually currently in a production of Anastasia, which has been a great experience. And I also completed my first audiobook.
Boy, all hats off to you, man. Like audiobooks, we'll probably talk about that for like a second
Oh,
round or
yeah.
something in the future. So I just want to thank you so much, Adam, for taking the time to do this. And best of luck to you. Best of luck to everybody out there. Have a great summer. And until then, keep on rocking and go get 'em. Punch every day in the face.